Born and raised in Enid, Oklahoma, Caleb Roche brings a personalized approach to each and every client of his. With a degree from the University of Central Oklahoma in marketing and an MBA from West Texas A&M University, he finds innovative ways to reach new target customers and expand your business no matter where you start. Combining strategy with implementation, he focuses on building long-term customers through data-driven decision-making. With experience working with both small and large companies, he has the experience to help businesses create strategic marketing plans that focus specifically on each business's strengths, not just a one-size-fits-all template-based strategy. And before we start this episode, a quick word from our sponsor, Deep Wealth, and the 90-day Deep Wealth Mastery Program. Here's Jane, a graduate who says, and I quote, "The Deep Wealth Mastery Program prevented me from making what would have been one of the biggest mistakes of my career. I almost signed on the dotted line with an unsolicited offer that I now realize would have shortchanged my hard work and my future had I accepted that offer. Deep Wealth Mastery has tilted the playing field to my advantage." Or how about Lynn? Wow, he gets right to the point, and I quote, "Deep Wealth Mastery is one of the best investments ever made because you'll get an ROI of 100 times that. Anyone who doesn't go through this will lose millions." And as you're listening to these testimonials, are you wondering if you have the time? Are you even thinking that you've got this covered? You have the advisors or people in your network? Well, I got to tell you, these myths, they're often behind the 90% failure rate for liquidity events. Think about it. You have one chance to get it right for your financial freedom. You really want to make it count. And when it comes to time, let's hear what William has to say. We just got in this testimonial. William says, and I quote, "I didn't have the time for Deep Wealth Mastery, but I made the time and I'm glad I did. What I learned goes far beyond any other executive program or coach I've experienced." So what do you think? As I hear that, that's exactly what gets me out of bed every day. That's my mission. That's the team's mission here at Deep Wealth, to literally change the social fabric of society, one business owner at a time, one liquidity event at a time. And my Deep Wealth Nation, what I want you to know, the Deep Wealth Mastery Program, it isn't theory. It's from the trenches. It's the only one based on a 9-figure deal. And that deal, that was my deal. You know my story. I said no to a 7-figure offer. I created a system that later on, myself and my business partners, we said yes to a different buyer, a different offer, a 9-figure deal. That's what we now call the Deep Wealth Mastery Program, or the Scale for Ultimate Sales system. It's built by business owners for business owners. So if you're interested in growing your profits, for preparing for a future liquidity event, and that may be 2 years away, it could be 22 years away, whatever the time may be, you want to do this now, and you want to optimize your post-exit life. Deep Wealth Mastery is for you. To get started, email success@deepwealth.com. Again, that's success, SUCCESS, at deepwealth.com. You'll receive all the information about the Deep Wealth Mastery Program, or better yet, why not hop on a complimentary strategy call? We'll go through exactly where your business is today and what's standing between you and your financial independence and your dreams. So that's where you want to be. You want to be with other successful business owners, entrepreneurs, and founders just like you. They're looking to grow their businesses, create market disruptions, and unlock their financial freedom to get what they deserve. And whether you've been in business for 3 years, 40 years, you're a startup, you're in manufacturing, you're in high tech, low tech, whatever the case may be, come on in and network with other business owners. It's a safe space. It's a confidential space with business owners, with businesses just like you, because they all want to lock in their financial freedom and enjoy both success and fulfillment. So again, the 90-day Deep Wealth Mastery Program, it has your name on it. All you need to do is take the next step. Please send an email to success@deepwealth.com. Welcome to the Deep Wealth Podcast. Deep Wealth Nation, we have not only another entrepreneur in the house, but an entrepreneur who may have the answer to the marketing and sales question that you've been asking, maybe for a week, maybe for a year, maybe for decades, who knows? It's all here, but I'm going to put a plug in it right there. Caleb, welcome to the Deep Wealth Podcast. An absolute pleasure to have you with us. And I'm really curious, Caleb, there's always a story behind the story. What's your story? What got you from where you were to where you are today?
Hey, Jeffrey, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. This is a podcast I've been looking forward to be on. You have quite the story, and Unfortunately, mine doesn't match yours as cool yet. I haven't got my nine-figure offer yet. So maybe one day, maybe
We're
tomorrow,
gonna
I'll get
get
my
you there. Eh?
nine-figure offer. Yeah,
Get you in the
there
default
it is.
mastery. We'll get you there. You'll talk
There it
about
is.
it.
That's great. I have a three-figure offer in my inbox right now, so I might take that. Just kidding. Yeah, we have a yeah, I just took it actually. I sold my company. My story is quite unique. So I am currently 25 years old. I run a marketing consulting firm that I've had for about 5 years officially. So I grew up homeschooled. I was the nerdy kid. Everyone thought I was really weird, all that. And I really am grateful that my parents did it because it allowed for me to be a little bit more propelled in my educational career. So I actually graduated with my bachelor's degree and my master's degree by the age of 21. So I was pretty motivated to get things done. I studied abroad, did all the fun stuff. So really lived quite the experience. Now, on the personal side, I also did not like to wait around as well. So me and my wife actually got married before we could legally drink at 21. So we got married at like 19, 20, had our first baby before we could legally drink in the US. And then we actually have two kids now. One, he's almost 5, and the other is almost 2. So I don't like to mess around when it comes to life, business, or school. Now, how that translates into my actual career, when I graduated college, during college, I was working for a company and I was basically managing operations. And I thought I was like the coolest dude around. I had a salary. I was 19. We could buy a house. And what happened was I got a little too big for my britches and got let go from that position about 4 months before my degree. Now, if you look at my story, I have a house, we have a mortgage, I'm married, we're young, still in school, thinking we're cool, and now I don't have a job. And now it's really
Mhm.
hard for me without a degree to go make a salaried job at the position that I was making. So we basically scrambled by, and I started this what I would consider a marketing consulting firm. What that was me building like two-page websites that looked absolutely terrible, thinking I knew a lot about marketing, and it ended up paying the bills, but I ended up getting a full-time role at a company called Inspire Brands. They're
Mhm.
the second largest QSR brand. They own Sonic, Jimmy John's, Buffalo Wild Wings, Dunkin' Donuts, and a couple others. So I worked in consumer insights for about 3 years with them, supporting the brands, working with the CMO and the brand team to essentially figure out what products are going to resonate with the customer. Now, as much as that role was incredible, while I started working there, I realized that I really did not enjoy working for someone else. It's cliche.
Mhm.
I know it, the typical entrepreneur, I'm a terrible employee. I hate reporting to someone, whatever you want to call it. But I really found out that while I loved the situation I was in and had a great situation, I really was not fulfilled and it was really difficult, like traveling a lot with family. So during COVID, I had the prime opportunity that I'd been basically side hustling on the side and started making more, the traditional story, right? Started making more from my side hustle than my full-time job. So ended up going to my wife and saying, I know I'm probably crazy. This is going to sound terrible, but I really want to quit my full-time job and start this thing. So she ended up saying, do it. I'm full support with you. And here we are a couple years later. So long-winded story to say, I've thought I was really cool for quite some time and realized that I'm getting less cool as I go and less successful. So we've had a really great stint so far. We serve clients ranging everything from a local Oklahoma boutique all the way up to international companies. We support companies across about 25 different cities. We're both in Canada and the US, and we're actually supporting some European companies now. So we look pretty small from the outside, but we're pretty large from the inside.
Caleb, wow, what a story. And you have your foot on the accelerator. You are not waiting, my goodness, from school to marriage. Absolutely love that. It's part of your journey. It really speaks a lot of who you are. And I know when you went out there on your own, I just love that entrepreneurial spirit. As you're talking about your story, I could exactly relate. Just take out Caleb, put in the word Jeffrey. It's really one and the same. I had one job, full disclosure, I had one job. It was an internship during my MBA program. They should have fired me on day one. I mean, I was there and I was the worst employee. And anyways, I better stop it there because we could go in the wrong direction, but I absolutely hear you on that. So you started Club Creative and you're really out there doing something a little bit different. And it sounds like you took your passion and you said, hey, from my passion, you can tell me if I'm on base or off base, Caleb. My passion is really good at solving the marketing problem. And for a lot of businesses out there, that's exactly the problem. It's a painful problem, it's a costly problem. So, as entrepreneurs, usually the glass is half full, but let's put the half full aside as half empty. Where, as entrepreneurs, from your standpoint, Caleb, where are we just missing the boat? Where are we getting it wrong when it comes to I'm not going to use the word marketing for the sake of marketing. When I say marketing, It's a means to an end. That I'm going to go out there, I'm going to market to get sales, not to build my community of however many followers, not to build my email list. It's to actually drive sales. So what's going wrong? Where are we missing the boat here?
So there's a lot of things wrong with marketing, as we know. As small business owners, as entrepreneurs, I think everyone can agree that they marketing is a side of the business where they just don't want to touch, they don't want to think, they don't want to hire someone. It's so
Mm-hmm.
complicated and so scary. Now, we've actually figured out kind of the reason why I started my company and the mission what we're trying to solve is a lot of business owners treat their marketing like gambling, quite
Mm-hmm.
honestly. And so it's one of those things that you look at it and you go, I'm going to put all of my money on black, and I really hope that black hits. And while the risk is there, they're not taking into consideration that the risk is actually there. It hits red and they go, oh my gosh, I lost. This is so terrible. I don't have any money now. I don't do this, whatever. It failed. Now, the biggest key focus that I really encourage business owners to look at is if you were, let me ask you this, Jeffrey, if you went to your investment advisor and you said, hey, I want to take 50 bucks and I want to turn this into $100 tomorrow. Can you do that for me? What do you think your investment advisor would say to you?
Well, hopefully it's the right one. If he says yes, I got to run
Yeah.
as fast as I
So
can in the
my
other direction. I
caveat
got
on
bigger
this question
problems.
is if you say if your investment advisor says yes, we should probably have a conversation with an investment advisor that can probably provide better input. But the thing I always say to people is yes, it's absolutely ridiculous the fact that you would go to your investment advisor, maybe even in a month, $50 extra return might seem pretty high for most people. You might hope to get that within a year. So my question to business owners is if that is a defined market, it's ebbs and flows, but you can't really define it. How do you expect someone to come into your business in one day and basically double your revenue from marketing? Because there's a lot of promises out there that marketing companies come in, they say, hey, we can double your income, you can scale your revenue, and they don't really understand the business model. Maybe it's a really easy business model to scale, and maybe not. For instance, we have a plumbing company that's a lot easier to scale because it's B2C. The consumer has an immediate need, their water heater goes out. They know who to call. We know that through Google advertising or through search engine optimization, things like that, media buying, we know that we can most likely reach those individuals with a need. Now, if we are a B2B company that's targeting Fortune 500 companies, we can't just turn on that switch and have that reliable. We have to actually search for those customers. So the one thing, all that being said, is we try to pin marketing in this one size fits all approach. And it really isn't. There's so much complexity to each marketing strategy for each business that we have to take into account that before you execute any sort of strategy behind that.
Absolutely. And it's interesting as you're talking about that, because you're right. When we say marketing, it means so many things. Now, you may agree to disagree. The common example that I use, Goodyear, the Goodyear blimp. If you're a sporting fan, the Goodyear blimp. If you're not a sporting fan, you probably know the Goodyear blimp as well. For me, that's branding, because can Goodyear really say we've sold more tires because of that? I don't think they can definitively say that. It's always a question mark. So here's the question for you and for a lot of the Deep Wealth Nation. Caleb, can you really differentiate? Okay, you have marketing, but then there's different types of marketing. And I know you can say, well, Jeffrey, it depends on the company, depends on the industry. Maybe it's social, maybe it's direct email, maybe it's SEO, some kind of AdWords or something else. But that said, in your experience, what would you find the most effective way, not for building a brand, but for getting sales done?
So I view it as like an investment. So we look at it and we say, hey, let's take, for instance, a B2C company that's targeting consumers with a direct need.
Mhm.
We know traditionally speaking that Google ads, Facebook ads, media buying, those different forms of channels traditionally can buy or bring in pretty good results, whether they're self-managing or they're hiring a company, traditionally speaking. So in my mind, I'm looking at the channels that are the most popular for their industry just to get started. Now, if they're actually looking at a strategy behind and looking at what's the best return or what can we do the best way of things, I like to bucket it as more free advertising versus paid. And when I say free, it's more of the long term, the search engine optimization, the organic social, the organic TikTok, that all of those things that are going to take time to build. And the way that we approach it is we say your best return for the immediate right away is going to be the paid channels, traditionally speaking. Now, don't hold me to that, because don't spend $500 on Google ads today and not get a result and think that's strange. But what I say to that is we say you can basically fuel the fire with paid ads. And while we're doing that, we try to supplement organic traffic, organic strategies so that it's kind of like an investment strategy. You don't just put all your money in GameStop. You're putting your money maybe in a little bit of GameStop and maybe in a ETF or mutual fund that knows that there's some sort of growth. So you can kind of leverage the risk together. So
Mhm.
don't know if that makes sense. Don't know if you agree with that, but we like to take an approach of not just put money at it and throw money at it. We say, where are you throwing money right now? What can we be doing in the long term to basically build you to where in the long term, let's say in a year, you have both an organic and a paid strategy that if your business drops down a little bit, you're not screwed because you're only investing in paid channels.
So let me ask you this. It's a bit of a loaded question. A day doesn't go by, Caleb, where I'm speaking to an entrepreneur and they're really crying the blues. Yes, Jeffrey, I went with this digital agency. I was promised the moon and the stars. I didn't even get that. And I spent all this money. I've got nothing to show for it. I hear more of that than, hey, I went with this digital agency. Wow. Turned our world upside down in the best of ways. We are now having more prospective leads than we can handle. I've had to expand the sales team. I'm not really hearing that. So, broadly speaking, what's going on out there in the industry that we should know as entrepreneurs when we're looking to get some help of, hey, help me not become the world's best kept secret. I want to be really known out there. I want to become the world's best known go to in this particular area. What's going on? Why aren't we getting those results?
So are you familiar with Seth Godin, the author? So
Absolutely.
he
Yes.
has a book titled, I don't know if you've read it yet, but marketers are liars. Like they're great
Yes.
liars. And
Yeah.
so, it's one of my greatest key lines. And here I am, a marketer saying this. But I mean, if you look at the marketing space in general, agencies, consultants, everything, you're going to find a lot of BS out there. Marketers are great at marketing themselves in
Hmm.
either good lights or bad lights. And most, I would say, traditionally speaking, marketers are really good at stretching the truth. So when
Hmm.
they tell you that we've grown a company by 100%, there might be some sort of caveat that they grew impressions by 100%. And the
Hmm.
reason they did that was they ran some paid ads, drove some additional followers, and now they're supplementing those paid ads with actual impressions. They grew. I mean, for instance, I saw a post the other day from another company. Again, this is not a dog on companies or things like that because everyone has different strategies, different ways of growing. They posted and they said, we doubled impressions. We did this. We had 2 times the amount of clicks. If you're looking at those numbers, they got 10,000 impressions instead of 5,000 impressions. They got
Hmm.
15 clicks instead of or 30 clicks instead of 15. That's great. Everyone starts at those beginnings. But what people don't understand is you can run an ad on Facebook for $5 and get those,
Hmm.
$5 to $50, get those same results. And so from a broad industry perspective, the marketing world is full of people with big promises that cannot deliver. And so my biggest advice to individuals, it's all different, but I always say, look at the reputation and ask for companies that they're working with. Make a phone call out to companies that they're working with. Talk to people that might be able to provide a referral for those individuals because the business owner is going to speak to their greatest strengths and their weaknesses. Because no company is perfect. Let's be honest. If you talk to our clients, we would have strengths, we'd have weaknesses. Maybe we struggle in this area, or maybe we deliver here. But it's really good to understand, are these companies providing the results that they're saying, or what's their biggest? Because some agencies, for instance, we like to lump agencies, consultants all in one box. You
Hmm.
might be working with a large agency that you get really timely communication. You have a project manager, really great creative team. You might be paying 10 times what you would pay someone else. But you're not going to get the creative team. Your response time might be a little less, and you might not have a project manager, but you might be spending 10 times less. And so there's always some sort of trade-off with that perspective as well.
It's interesting. And I know when I speak to statisticians, they say, Jeffrey, be careful with what you hear out there. So back to your example, Caleb, someone is saying, yeah, we doubled the clicks or the sales. Maybe the clicks were 5 clicks and they got it to 10 clicks. Now, I know I'm being ridiculous with that, but you could say, hey, I doubled it, or they went from one sale to 2 sales. Neither of those is moving the dial, but they're right when they're saying, yeah, we doubled what was there before we got there, even though it's a terrible situation. So, really, something for all of us to think about is go, what I'm hearing you say is really go behind and down below what's really going on with that. It's not enough to say, yes, we doubled this or we quadrupled that. Where'd you start? Where'd you end? How much business did you get, to really ask the tough questions on that?
And it's unfortunate. I mean, I have colleagues that I know in the marketing world that they started watching YouTube videos. So for instance, let's say they watch some YouTube videos, they started a marketing business. I can't tell you the amount of conversations that I have with other marketing agency owners. that they're putting out these offers. Back to the offer point of like, how do we trust someone? They are literally telling business owners that they are giving a money back guarantee for a certain amount. I mean, we're looking at $10,000 in fees, let's say, which for a business owner can be a lot, especially if you're starting out. Now they're claiming we have a money back guarantee, get your money back if we don't see results. What you'll find with these companies is there's lots of caveats. They have to make their money somehow. They're not going to just lose all this money because they know they're basically delivering on this big promise. So what they start to do is they say, well, you have to wait 6 months before you can request a refund. Then we do this. Or if you don't cancel before. So the thing that I always tell people is if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. And the other piece is talk to other business owners. This is a big piece of advice that I give to people. Talk to business owners on what they're doing, who they're working with, who they've heard. Because, for instance, 90% of our business comes from referrals. We have a couple clients that have been 5-time legacy referrals. So we've had 5 chains of command where the initial person referred to another person who referred to another person, or 5 times down that chain. Now, that's where I always say you're going to have people that have great experiences with companies and you're going to have bad experiences. There's always 2 sides of the story on both ends, and you have to take that with a grain of salt. So all that being said, it's easy to see all these things where these ads that come up and are you a business owner? Are you looking to grow your business? Are you trying to do this? And it looks cool. It looks attractive. It looks sexy. But at the end of the day, you have to actually look at the numbers behind who are they working with? What have they been doing? How long have they been in the space? What's their education? All these different factors, and identify what are you going to take into account before you work with someone.
So interesting. And let me ask you this, because I want to learn more about your secret sauce. But before I ask you that, this is an observation. You may agree, you may disagree. Back in my e-learning company, when we first began, I mean, a lot has changed. When we first began, you didn't have social media. The way that you would market, I'd call it old school marketing. We were doing traditional emails. Heck, Caleb, we were even doing good old fashioned letters in an envelope with a postage stamp on it, sending it out. And when I compare it to today, where we have social media, we have these different communities. Again, you can tell me, am I on base, off base? To me, it seems as though marketing has taken a few steps back because the results seem to take longer. We get caught up in how many clicks did I get, or how many people am I having that are following me, or how many people in the community, where it's okay, what's my cost per sale? How quickly am I getting my ROI? Is this working? Is this not working? With us, we were always really looking at the results changing, but our focus was never on, are we the most popular out there, or how many people are in the community? It was, hey, how quickly are we getting the ROI, and what does that look like? So to me, social media, yes, sure, there's some success stories, but I often hear more stories on the other side. Now, that's my vantage point. You could agree, disagree. Would love your thoughts on that.
Yeah, fully agree on that. I think the reason why we've taken a step back is because the space is so crowded. And I say this not only for social media, but if you think about advertising in general, I keep seeing statistics out there. I don't have refreshed data, so don't hold me to these numbers. But we all know consumers are seeing at least hundreds, if not thousands of ads on a daily basis. You think about it, they're scrolling through Facebook. They see 25 ads in a 5-second session. The right-hand rail, 2 of those. There's some story ads, things like that. You're driving down the street. You see 5 different billboards on the highway in a mile period. I mean, if you think about the amount of content that consumers are consuming, it's absolutely insane. And if you kind of tailor that to this idea of how do you resonate a message that sticks with the consumer when they're being barraged with so much content and information being put out there. And so in my mind, with the algorithm changes, I mean, we all know it, Facebook, it used to be so easy to have 1,000 followers and get 1,000 likes. Now you look at pages that post consistently on a daily basis, they look at posting times. They might be lucky if they have 1,000 followers to get 5 likes on a good piece of content, quite frankly. And the other thing is you have all these TikTok algorithms, you have Instagram algorithms. So if you think about it from a broad perspective, we're relying so much on these platforms to deliver results, and we're relying so heavily on them to help support our proper business. The easiest way that I can explain it is look at the Facebook outage. How many people got freaked out when Facebook went down for, what was it, 2 hours? I don't know if you remember that. It was like 2 or 3 years ago, I want to say, went down for like 6 hours, 2 hours, whatever it was. People couldn't log in. Businesses couldn't post about their deals. They couldn't post about their hours. People didn't know who it was, blah, blah, blah. That's why, in my opinion, owned channels are so much more important in the long term. We talk about organic strategies. We talk about paid strategies. The more that you know your customers and the more information that you have on them data-wise, the more powerful you can be. Because if a Facebook outage happens, if TikTok gets banned, if Google goes down somehow, whatever that looks like, if you have customers' email addresses, if you have their physical addresses, if you have their phone numbers, now you can call, text, email, and send them a letter if you had to.
And Deep Wealth Nation, I hope you heard what Caleb was saying. Caleb, you're absolutely right. What we say here at Deep Wealth, if you're relying on anyone else other than yourself when it comes to your community, you're giving that source the keys to the kingdom. And forget an outage. They may tomorrow turn around and say, hey, Jeffrey, we don't like that message that you put out there. We're shutting you down. And now, if all your followers, if that's how you're reaching your marketplace, you're now locked out. They've got the keys to the kingdom. And Caleb, absolutely, we should always be directing people to our website, our email list. And sure, maybe social media is a means to an end, but it's not the and one and only source that we should be going to in terms of building the community. So all that said, Caleb, it's a perfect segue for the next question that I was thinking about in preparing for our time together today. There is a lot of noise out there. We are, everywhere we look, getting messages from all different kinds of companies, and they are all vying for our time. And we have these gazillion-dollar algorithms that are doing the same thing. So when you're working with a business, and Caleb, you'd be absolutely right to say, well, Jeffrey, look, it depends on the business. It depends on the industry. It depends where they are in their journey. And I agree with you. But generally speaking, what are you doing the first time out? You're working with a client. You're really looking to get above the noise to get the fastest possible ROI that you can. What's that secret sauce? What's going on behind the scenes with Club Creative?
So unfortunately, we have no secret sauce. I like to tell people we cook kind of like Gordon Ramsay, and we make it the way that Gordon Ramsay does. So there's that saying that says you can have the secret sauce, everyone can have it, but they're going to make it different ways. So the way that we approach marketing for businesses, or when we sit down, we do your traditional SWOT analysis internally. So we look and we say, everyone knows it. It's the target market. Hey, who's your consumer? But in the long run, it's so important because we look at and we say, what's your competitive segment? What does that look like? What are they doing right now? How aggressive are they? How many competitors do you have the space? Do you have 5? Do you have 1,000,000? What's your delivery look like? So when we're sitting down with a business owner, we're looking at everything from what opportunities do they have? What are they currently implementing? What have they looked like in the past? And what are they planning to do? Or what do their goals look like? Now, the big thing that we always recommend looking at is we like to go further than just your traditional on the outside looking in. So we actually look at trends across revenue, across purchasing behavior, across customers on a year over year basis. So if we're working with a business that's been around for 2+ years, let's say, we like to look at the data and look at what are high revenue months. Is there some seasonality behind it? Do we understand any trends based around holidays, based around events, things like that, to actually understand when are our big key moments that we can deliver messages? Now, the second piece that we actually look at is we look at the consumer behavior behind all of their audience. Now, again, if they're a little bit more of an established audience, we look at all of their customer behavior and understand how frequently is someone buying from them, what's their average ticket, what's their lifetime value, kind of putting some numbers together, because then that allows for us to formulate a little bit better of an understanding of if we do spend a certain amount per cost per acquisition, this is actually in the long term going to be important or helpful for the business versus us just saying, well, we could probably get $250 per acquisition and not understanding that their lifetime value might only be $125. So that's where we like to look at a comprehensive view and understand what is the consumer behavior behind it? What are the trends? What does the actual landscape look like before we make any actual executive decisions?
Fair enough, Caleb. Let me ask you this next question, and I'm going to preface it. So as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, I can't do everything myself. Understood. And I need to have other people who are better at doing something than I am focus on that. They're world-class in that area. Having said that, as the business owner, there's a difference between delegating and abdicating. So I can go to an ad agency and I can completely abdicate. Okay, here's our account. Just do whatever you think you should do. And that's unfortunately what most business owners do. Or I can show up educated, smart. I know my business and I'm coming in not necessarily knowing the answers, but I can guide them in the right way. So as a business owner, what should I be doing, Caleb? Not to do the marketing, not to come up with the actual ads or where we're going to be putting that, but to guide an agency in the right way of, okay, here's who our avatar is. Based on our research, we are not a candidate for this social platform. And I'm reluctant to name platforms because they change so much. Who's here today might be gone tomorrow. So we can tell you on platform ABC, definitely not where we want to be. That's not where our avatar or our target market is, but we suspect that our target market is over here. So without us becoming the actual experts in marketing, we don't have the time for that. That's not really our focus. How do we educate ourselves on where more than likely our target market, our demographics are going to be, that we can have an intelligent conversation with an agency?
100%. So obviously my standard answer is it depends. But generally speaking, I always say as a business owner, it's the
Mhm.
easiest way to learn from example. So
Okay.
get yourself an ads manager account, test around things. Again, don't spend $5,000 a day and burn through all of your cash tomorrow. But what I'm saying is like, look at the actual, what does it take to create an ad? Or look on an ads manager background. What can you do? Or look at Google Analytics. Like start just kind of researching and trying to understand a little bit more. Because in my mind, it's so much better when a business owner can come and say, yep, I have an ads manager account and I got stuck here. Or like I wasted like $100 here. Or I did this, or I tried form submissions and all I got was people from another country that did not need my services that were trying to sell me things. Because
Hmm.
if you have that experience and you know, listen, here is some things that we've done previously, and here are our big problems. They know that you might get a lot of spam, or nowadays on most platforms when you're doing advertising, there's a lot of like external, if you're targeting, let's say, a specific city,
Hmm.
we know that there is a margin of error that you're going to get people from other cities and you might even get some form submissions. So if
Hmm.
someone that has never run an ad campaign gets freaked out because they go, I got someone from Toronto and I've been targeting Oklahoma. How did that happen? And we go, well, you're on an imperfect platform. That happens. Now, if the business owner has done that before, they go, oh yeah, I've seen that before. This is a common problem. So in my mind, the short, easy answer is not saying that they have to get a marketing degree or things like this, but you have to play around. You have to go on your website, look at search engine optimization articles, read some articles online. You can find thousands of articles on advertising and SEO and things like that. Try to learn a little bit of the terms. What does this mean? Because at the end of the day, like we've talked about with hiring agencies, things like that, if you go in blind and you go like to an investment advisor, if you go in and they go, yep, you need to get annuities, you need to do this. If you don't understand the product and they're just telling you how great the product is,
Hmm.
again, you want to put some sort of trust into the company, but you got to always understand that you have to protect your own interests as well. And so if you go to an investment advisor, if you go to a lawyer, if you do whatever, you need to at least understand a little bit of the process before you make that decision. And so easier said than done. You can go down rabbit holes within marketing. As we know, there's thousands of articles that tell you different things. But in my mind, you at least have to be somewhat educated and allow for the agency to tell you search engine optimization, internal backlinking, we don't agree with that. And here's why we don't agree with that. Or here's why. Let them show you their methodology, but go in there with some sort of education on your own.
Caleb, so let me ask you this. There's always extremes. So on the one extreme, you have the entrepreneur who's saying, we don't need any of this. We're just going to keep on doing it the way that we've been doing it. We're going to do it on our own. It's going to be word of mouth. And you know what? If they're doing word of mouth really effectively, that's always the best way of getting new customers and God bless and live and let live. And they go on that way. Then there's the other extreme. Well, AI has come onto the scene. I don't need anybody now. AI is going to do everything for me. And I'm just going to have AI do it. I'm going to save a lot of money, save a lot of time. So I've given you the two extremes. And where I'm going with this is artificial intelligence. And by the way, when this episode airs, who knows where it's going to be? It's changing by
We might
leaps
have
and
flying
bounds.
cars.
We might have flying cars like in the Jetsons. Exactly. Who knows? But that said, where we are today as we record this episode, when it comes to artificial intelligence, where are you on artificial intelligence? And again, the preface is it can change and you can come back and say, yeah, Jeffrey, I know I said that. That
Yep.
said, it's changed. And I'm going to take that back because of this or that. But as of today, how does AI fit into what you're doing or where doesn't it fit into what you're doing?
So we're using it right now to kind of get us better learnings from our perspective. So we are trying, and I say train very carefully because we're
Mhm.
not like building an AI on our end or a learning model, things like that. The one thing that we're trying to understand is how do we use AI to better inform decision making and provide better recommendations, but not strictly relying on it. So I think we can both agree when you see a Facebook post or something like that, we can traditionally know when AI has written it versus traditionally not. There's like little indications, like there's like little emojis at the beginning and it puts a little title. People literally copy and paste it.
Mhm.
Completely fine getting content out there. But
Uh-huh.
what people have to understand is as more users understand the platform, they'll start to recognize that. And for instance, if someone's paying an agency to create social media content for them, before the client's going to understand when agency is going to ChatGPT, charging them a certain amount per month, and all they're doing is running 5 prompts through ChatGPT and getting all their content, making one little creative, and then putting it out. Like people are going to start recognizing that. So in our eyes, we're trying to have conversations with learning models to
Mhm.
understand how do we better inform our audience? How do we use examples? How do we use different things to better build marketing strategies, content,
Mhm.
things like that? I'm at this cornerstone where again, everything could change. I think AI is absolutely incredible. I think it's going to make some really great decisions. At its core, it's predictive analytics. It's using analytics to understand what's happening and then providing some sort of prediction results based on previous data. Where I think there is a big call out is I think a lot of people are saying that they're using AI or they have AI models and all they're doing is using ChatGPT. So I've been on a couple calls where companies have said that they're AI based and we go, okay, like what model are you running off of or X? And they go, well, we're using existing data from customers and we're using AI. So all they're essentially doing is predictive modeling. They're using previous data to get CTRs or cost per acquisition, things like that to understand, which is somewhat AI, somewhat not. So all that being the case, I think it's great for learnings, methodologies, things like that. But I still think we have to be careful to not just fully dive into it and just copy and paste. Like we have to optimize and understand prompts.
And so once again, a great takeaway, Depot Nation. Did you pick up on that? What Caleb was saying, it's fine for someone to say, yeah, we're using AI and we're really ahead of the curve. Go behind that. What are they really doing? Are they really putting out a position that when you go behind the scenes, it isn't really what they say it is? And so true. Caleb, I'm going to ask a tough question. No one really knows this answer. What would be your best guess if we fast forward perhaps a year, maybe 2 or 3 years? Where is AI going to be when it does come to marketing? What do you think it's going to look like? And for the people there that are saying, yeah, of course, there's not going to be any digital agencies, there's not going to be any marketing people, AI is running everything. When we do fast forward out, what does that look like from your standpoint?
Listen, there's always a market for businesses. There's always a market for things, especially when competitors come in. My best example is look at real estate. Zillow was supposed to transform the way of home buying, and there's now iBuyers where you can actually sell your home online. Real estate agents haven't gone extinct. Maybe there's less of them in the market, but that means that there's a better pool for more talented real estate agents to get more of the share. So where I see AI being is I definitely think we're going to make some movement. I think there's going to be better learning models. I think there's going to be some really great technology from a consumer behavior standpoint that's going to understand how business owners potentially understand their customers a little bit better and maybe get ahead of the curve and say, here's some ways that you could deliver to a customer that's a little bit more customized based on your business model, based on previous customers' data. Here's how we integrate it. Now, my only hesitation by saying that is look at the Amazon example, right? So Amazon, I don't know if you saw, but Amazon was at Whole Foods or their grocery store model that they were saying that AI was predicting it. And lo and behold, there is a call center that is literally typing in the receipts and they're saying it's AI, but it's not. So all that being the case, do I think AI is going to continue moving forward? Absolutely. It's not going to die. But do I think that we're going to live in a fully AI world in the next year? Probably not. We're probably not going to walk in and have the door like AI facial recognize our face and provide a recommended restaurant intake or things like that. So I don't know if that's correct, but I guess we'll see in a couple of years how far off I was.
Well, Caleb, we're going to hold you to this. We're going to hold you to this a couple of years from now. We're going to come back to
Great.
this very episode and see where it is. No, I'm just joking on that. But that said, Caleb, before we go into wrap-up mode, if there was a low-hanging fruit, and again, a very general question, and you'd be absolutely right to say, well, Jeffrey, come on, it's so general. It depends on the business, the industry, where the evolution of that business is. Generally speaking, though, if there is a low-hanging fruit, if there's one action that a Deep Wealth Nation listener today coming out of this episode, before they go into the next activity, if they can do one thing that would really move the dial for them from your world, what would that one suggestion or action be?
Marketing related, not the paid marketing channels. This is my biggest recommendation on to people that they're trying to figure out how do I improve my marketing? How do I improve customer retention? All those different types of things. Now, Gary Vaynerchuk, I believe he's the one that told the story, so I can't take full credit for this, but he talks about the idea of the red napkin theory. Big companies are looking at consumer behavior very intensely. They're looking at flavor profiles of food. They're doing so much behind the scenes that we don't know. And as business owners, we don't have access to see. Now, the red napkin theory, and everyone has a different version of the story, but what I always like to say is it's the easiest way to say it. You walk into a restaurant and let's say you have a red napkin. The first time visitor for that restaurant gets a red napkin when they get seated down at the table. That red napkin internally to that restaurant notifies all of the staff that is a first time customer. They come out, the chef comes out, he knows, hey, how was the food? Can I make you anything additional? Was it cooked well? That individual is going to go, holy cow, the chef came out. I love this restaurant. Now, it doesn't stop at the red napkin. As they're leaving, they get handed a postcard or whatever for a free dessert the next time that they come back. Now, that postcard signifies that is the second visit. So on the second visit, when that person comes back, they hand the postcard, that notifies that entire restaurant that is a second experience. So maybe they will give them a free appetizer, or maybe they will say, here's some recommendations, or they'll look at past behavior, things like that. You build this experience where 3 to 4 times that individual, that customer feels some sort of attachment to your restaurant. They feel like they want to come back every single day because of the experiences they've had. So that story being the case, I probably butchered it, probably left out some things. I didn't want to go into a 15-minute story. But all that being said, I encourage you to look at your business, and because customer retention, because loyalty, because behavior falls under the bucket of marketing from a broad perspective, look at small ways, small adjustments, things that you can do that can provide a much better customer experience that is going to create raving fans or better experiences for your customers that are going to bring them back in and provide referrals for individuals looking for your line of work to further enhance your marketing operations.
And really, when you think about that, firstly, it's a wonderful story. And yes, there's different variations of that. But when you think about that, if you go back to basics, all of us, we want to be recognized. We want to feel known. We want to feel like we're being heard out there. And it's a great, really a wonderful takeaway of how are you communicating with your customers? Are you communicating with your customers? Are you making them feel special? Or could they be that they're feeling, well, whether I'm there or not there, they don't even really care. They're not even noticing. So it's a wonderful takeaway. I absolutely love that. And Caleb, before we go into wrap up mode, is there a question that I didn't ask, or a topic that we haven't covered, or even a message that you'd like to get out to Deep Wealth Nation?
Just do your research before you hire a marketing company, like we talked about. That's my biggest takeaway.
Or as Ronald Reagan used to say, trust but verify. And
yes.
don't take anything for granted.
That's why we provide a $3 million guarantee. If you work with us, we will give you $3 million back if you don't work out. So trust us.
Nudge, wink.
Wink, wink.
That said, Caleb, and I know the listeners of Deep Wealth Nation, they hear me say this for every podcast, but it is true. It's really my privilege. It's my pleasure. It's my honor that we have a tradition here in the Deep Wealth podcast where every guest gets the same question. It's a fun one. Let me set this up for you. When you think of the movie Back to the Future, you have that magical DeLorean car that can take you to any point in time. So here's the fun part. Is tomorrow morning, you look outside your window, not only is the DeLorean car there, the door is open. It's waiting for you to hop on in, which you do. You're now going to go to any point in your life. Caleb, as a young child, as a teenager, whatever point in time that would be, what would you tell your younger self in terms of life lessons or life wisdom? Or, hey, Caleb, do this, but don't do that. What would it sound like?
I tell myself to keep going. I think there's a lot of messaging out there that we think we're being unsuccessful, or if we're failing, or if one part of our life is not perfect, then we're not being successful. And the thing I'd tell myself is to continue going through the hard times, through the great times, and never stopping.
Absolutely love that. So just keep on going no matter what. And you know what? It's something about the consistency. I think it was Woody Allen, and my numbers may be a little bit off, but 90% of success is just showing up, having that consistency to keep on going. And regardless of putting the judgment aside, a win or a lose, I'm just going to keep on going. And hopefully we're making some adjustments along the way, but keep on going. Absolutely love that. And before this is an official wrap, Caleb, if somebody has a question for you, better yet, they even want to become a client, they want to speak to you about that, where would be the best place online for someone to find you?
So they can go to my LinkedIn, Caleb Roche MBA, or they can go to our website, goclubcreative.com. We have a free consultation on there, 30 minutes to an hour. We do not sell on that. So we allow for the person to come on, tell us their problems. We provide some insights, recommendations. If they ask us to provide a proposal or they're interested in working with us, we'll definitely do that. But our big focus is helping individuals understand a little bit better on their marketing strategy without having to hire an agency. So they can go to our website, shoot me a message on LinkedIn. Happy to help provide any value I can.
Deep Wealth Nation, you heard it there. Take Caleb up on his offer. Reach out, have that conversation, see what's there. You're going to learn something new. Well, Caleb, it's official. This is a wrap. Congratulations. And as we love to say here at Deep Wealth, may you continue to thrive and prosper while you remain healthy and safe. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Jeffrey. I appreciate you.
So there you have it, Deep Wealth Nation. What did you think? So with all that said, and as we wrap it up, I have another question for you. Actually, it's more of a personal favor. Did you find this episode helpful? Have you found other episodes of the Deep Wealth Podcast empowering and a game changer for your journey? And if you said yes, and I really hope you did, I have a small but really meaningful way that you can actually help us out and keep these episodes coming to you. Are you ready for it? The dramatic pause. I'll just wait a moment. Drum roll, please. Subscribe. Please subscribe to the Deep Wealth Podcast on your favorite podcast channel. When you subscribe to the Deep Wealth Podcast, you're saving yourself time. Every episode automatically comes to you. And I want you to know that we meticulously craft every one of our episodes to have impactful strategies, stories, expert insights that are designed to help you grow your profits, increase the value of your business, and yes, even optimize your post-exit life and your life right now, whatever you want that to look like. And every time you subscribe and a fellow entrepreneur subscribe, it's a testament to how together, yes, we are changing the social fabric of society. One business owner at a time, one liquidity event at a time. So don't let the momentum stop here. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast channel. You'll never miss an episode. You'll be the first to hear from the top industry leaders, the innovators, the disruptors that are really changing and shaping the business world. And maybe you're commuting, maybe you're at the gym, maybe you're taking a well-deserved break that we spoke all about on this episode. The Deep Wealth Podcast, it's your reliable source for the next big idea that could literally revolutionize your business. So once again, please hit that subscribe button, stay connected, inspired, and ahead of the curve. And again, your next big breakthrough moment, it might just be one episode away. Maybe it was even this episode. So all that said, thank you so much for listening. And remember, your wealth isn't just about the money in the bank. It's about the depth of your journey and the impact that you're creating. So let's continue this journey together. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for listening to this episode. And as we love to say here at Deep Wealth, may you continue to thrive and prosper while you remain healthy and safe. Thank you so much. God bless.